Why the heck outsourcing? Why didn't you choose to look internally or locally at best? And did you have any concerns about it?
Without the support that we have now with LTV, the internal staff was just running around like chickens with their head cut off, trying to do as much as they can throughout the day.
Most body shops don't provide the level of customer service that we aim for. We want that customer experience to be everything, right? From the moment that they walk in the door to the moment they pick up their car.
I can say that LTVplus has established itself as a process dependent rather than people dependent. No matter how many flips we do in the staff, anyone can handle the campaign because everything has been documented and saved.
A person is only involved in about 3 to 4 accidents in a lifetime. So when they are in a situation that they need a repair facility, it's very important to cultivate that lead immediately. And that's the biggest impact I think I saw was the lead cultivation and converting them into a customer.
So just to wrap it up, if you're talking to another GM or owner of a specialized service business, whether it's auto, medical, legal, what's one honest advice you give them about outsourcing CX, especially if they're very skeptical?
The fear is not really real. You just need to take that jump. It will pay out dividends.
Welcome back to the LTV Plus podcast. Let's talk about CX, where we make exceptional customer experience seem more achievable with each episode. And today we have a very interesting episode for a special kind of business owner. We're joined by Will Brumby. He's the general manager of Total Recon Auto Center, which is a high-end auto reconditioning company, and also a client of LTV Plus. So welcome to the show, Will.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we also have someone else from the Total Recon side, Alfonso, and he's the manager of customer service at Total Recon. And I'm so excited that you decided to join us today, Alfonso.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And lastly, we have someone who has been working closely with the both guys from our side, Jonnalyn Alvior. She's the customer success manager for the Total Recon Auto campaign here at LTV Plus. And Jonnalyn, it's great to have you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're going to be talking about what outsourcing looks like for businesses in highly specialized industries or detail-oriented industries. And we're bringing everything to the table, basically. The decision-making process, challenges, onboarding, and the benefits. No fluff, just a real story from the people who have been doing it, right? And we've been working with Total Recon Auto for about 3+ years now. I believe we started with the full-time agent and grew to about 3 agents. We handle phone and email support for the company. And yeah, I'm just going to throw it over to you, Will. Please tell us about being a service company and what makes you guys different from a regular auto shop.
Yeah, so Total Recon is a multi-shop operation. We have 2 locations here in Maryland, and we are a collision repair facility. And we've been open since 2010. Our focus shifted in 2021, 22 to a primarily Tesla-driven operation, where at one point we were considered Tesla only. And we did that because of the high demand of repair support for the manufacturer of Tesla. So in our area, the collision repair for Tesla was always a pain point for Tesla owners. And we realized that. And in 2021, like I said, we shifted our focus from front to back to touch all the pain points of a customer journey within a Tesla owner. And that was anything from lead time to rentals to the customer service side of it and the quality of the repair. So that narrowed focus really allowed us to improve operational efficiencies from the customer side to the repair side. And it's done wonders for us. The specialization has helped Total Recon kind of position itself as one of the top Tesla collision repair facilities in the country.
Really amazing. And I recall that you guys had a lot of expansion last year. Congrats on that, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But what would you say that growth actually felt like internally? Was it exciting, terrifying, or maybe a little mix of both?
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit mix of both. While the location is about 30, 40 minutes away from our Rockville location, our flagship shop that was our first. It's a different market, it's a different customer, it's a different shop. And I think that was one of the biggest things that kind of surprised us. We couldn't essentially duplicate exactly what we were doing at our first location with the second. And that second is now kind of creating its own identity and operation as a whole, because it is a smaller shop, I guess is the way to put it. That's 10,000 square feet, and the one here in Rockville is about 19. So it had us again focus on efficiencies within a different aspect, or a different throughput is the way to put it, I guess. Fonzie, what did you see as far as the difference between the two locations?
Yeah. I mean, really, difference is going to be the volume as of now, right? Just because Laurel it's a slightly smaller location, so there's a lower value in Laurel than what it is in our flagship location here in Rockville. However, with LTV kind of assisting on both sides, I mean, it definitely helps, for sure.
Yeah, and that's one thing that LTV helped with, I guess is the way to put it, where we have a central customer support. The same phone number for both locations. It's just a matter of hitting a prompt and going to our Rockville or to our Laurel support. And LTV was very important role within that process of making it a seamless customer service journey that we had at the beginning of any customer, whether it be Rockville or Laurel. And that was very important to us, is to make sure that our brand didn't lose that side of it, that identity within the expansion. And a key component was customer service. It really was, because Laurel is a little bit of a different market, and they demand a little bit of a different approach and support. And LTV really did adapt very well to that.
I like how we're slowly kind of threading LTV Plus into the conversation. But before that, let's just rewind a little bit, right? So I'm gonna loop you in here, Alfonso. I would just like to ask, what would you say customer support kind of looked like at the company as a whole before outsourcing or LTV Plus kind of came into the picture? What were some, challenges that your team faced internally?
Yeah, for sure. Most body shops don't provide the level of customer service that we aim for. We want that customer experience to be everything, right? From the moment that they walk in the door, from the moment that they're getting these updates, to the moment they pick up their car, right? That's what we always aim for that customer experience. However, with us being the biggest Tesla shop in the area, we have a high value coming through those doors, right? So we're not always in that same position, in that same seat daily, right? We're standing up, we're going out to these vehicles, we're giving that customer that experience, but at the same time, because we're kind of moving all around, we are not sitting in the seat answering these phone calls when we need to. So I think that was like the biggest struggle, right? We don't want to lose leads when we're assisting other customers. And I think that was like the biggest thing, is that we don't want that customer service experience to drop, just because we can't handle the volume. I think that's was really the biggest thing there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. Without the support that we have now with LTV, the internal staff was just running around like chickens with their head cut off, trying to do as much as they can throughout the day, answering the phone calls, sending the emails, updating the customers. And now it's allowed us to kind of provide that quality from the beginning to end, like I said, because even the post repair, even after the customer has left, you don't want them to feel as if like they're just gone and you're never going to touch them. We're doing post repair phone calls now and emails and follow ups, and it's just the touch time that we're able to provide that we weren't before is huge.
Yep. The bandwidth has expanded. Yep.
Can only imagine how important customer service is for such a specialized industry. And also because you have physical locations, like this is not like any other online e-commerce business, right?
Yeah, 8:30 in the morning. We have about, let's call it 5 to 6 drop offs, and they start
Wow.
to come in, and then they're all getting rental vehicles that we provide. So the time in which that customer is here is about, let's say, 20 to 30 minutes. But then a tow truck comes in with a car that's on the back of it, and we have to address that. So then that customer service agent has to get up and go out and assist that. And then customer that had no appointment comes in and they have some questions. And all of a sudden you have 7 people in your lobby and you have 3 or 4 internal agents. It gets a little hectic. And to be able to have someone still able to answer those phone calls and and those emails while all that is going on is a saving grace.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine. I'm gonna ask a question, right? That I'm sure most businesses or business owners have on their mind. Why outsourcing? Like, why didn't you choose to, look internally or locally at best, And did you have any concerns about it?
Fonz, you want to take this one?
The first part of your question, I think Will might be best to kind of suit that as far as why outsourcing. But as far as concerns that we were possibly thinking about and having was not physically having another person here at the shop, right? How can outsourcing still build a relationship with the customer when they're not physically here, right? I think that was sort of like the concern. How are we possibly going to train the outsourced staff properly to the day-to-day tasks that need to happen, and how can we make them part of this team to still deliver that customer service experience, right? So I think those were the challenges there. And the fact that we're having this sort of interview or podcast and kind of shows the success on that, right?
Yeah, and those fears were real, and one of the reasons why we reached out for outsourcing is also because internally we don't have unlimited space. We would like to have 5, 6, 7, 8 staff members in the shop, but we didn't even have the space for that to occur. Outsourcing was something that was ideal for us. Where we lacked the support, we didn't need it really internally, face to face type of interactions. We needed the digital and the phone support. And that's where LTV came in. And it really helped along the process of making sure that each customer was touched with a phone call or an email once a week. And that was really big on us. And we were able to work closely with LTV in order to address that main concern of ours. And honestly, that was one of the first topics that we discussed is the touch time of the customer after they dropped off when they're not physically here. And it's come into a very standard operating procedure for us in LTV to make sure that occurs.
Look, once you hit Google right now and search for outsourcing companies, I bet you're gonna see like at least 20 names pop up, right? So the next question I guess I have is what was the decision process like for that? Like how did you weigh, the pros and cons and land on LTV Plus specifically?
Yeah, there was a few that we looked into. One thing that stood out about LTV was the organization from the start. Kadeen was a integral part in that, and we were able to have multiple meetings. They were able to showcase their professionalism in a way that kind of stood out. Where, like Alfonso kind of mentioned too, was like the training. How do we bring someone into our operation who's not even here? And what happened, the onboarding process was as easy as can be because we provided that knowledge, we provided that support and breadcrumbs or paper trail, however you want to put it. And LTV just took it to the next level. And they really have their internal training. And that's what really kind of stood out. So we said that we want this. And they said, okay, this is how we're going to go about how to achieve that. And it didn't take long at all. There was candidates, there was interviews that LTV handled that we didn't have to. They brought us in after they did their initial vetting process, and Alfonso and I saw these videos, saw these interviews. We had multiple conversations, and we said, okay, we'll take that agent, and we'll take this agent. And if there were any sort of growing pains, they were addressed promptly. It was pretty impressive.
That's amazing. And it sounds like you guys had a lot of like hands-on touch, I guess, when it comes to the hiring, which I think is something that businesses are very skeptical about with outsourcing companies. So Jonah, I'm gonna just spin it to you. Since we're talking about onboarding, how did that look like for such a specialized company?
Sure. To Will's point, initially it was transitioned by our head of success, Kadeen. So it was already up and running when I came into picture. With the LTV Plus's structured approach, we were able to seamlessly onboard everyone if we needed a replacement or we need additional buffer agent. The process is there. We've already documented everything from the get-go. So it's so easy for anyone actually, no matter how many times we replace support teams, they'd be autopilot because we have like a playbook that we can refer to. right? And across the board for all the campaigns that we have for LTV Plus, it's always like a 4 to 5 week period to get the campaign up and running through LTV Plus. So to what Will said, recruitment process, we do that 2 to 3 weeks. But alongside it, we're already working with them in the back end to have our train the trainer session to get all the information we need, access, knowledge, so that we can properly train the incoming agents. And for TRA, we did not have any delays in the transition because, again, all the information that we needed were given to us. It's best to have all the channels open. Maybe it's Slack, email, or even getting into video calls or meetings with the clients so that, we get to ask questions right away. And then, like, communication from the client side as well is very important. Without client's responsiveness, we would not be able to deliver on the timeline. I can say that LTV Plus has established itself as a process dependent rather than people dependent. Again, no matter how many flips we do in the staff, anyone can handle the program or the campaign because everything has been documented and saved from back when we had our kickoff meeting with Will. It's been a journey with PRA.
And I think one thing you have to touch on too, and Alfonso might be able to talk a little bit more about this, but when there's a need to onboard a new agent, because either one gets promoted or one drops off, or even the expansion that we had. Alfonso just went through this with LTV bringing another individual onto our team, and Alfonso and I have had discussions about that process. Alfonso, you want to touch on that a little bit?
No, well, I mean, number one, I think LTV is very organized when it comes to that, right? The way we set up our cheat sheets, the way that we have these training materials for the new onboarding agents, it's good. It's good to be organized like that. Yeah, but typically when we have a new agent that's going to be on board, it's going to be an expanding. It's going to be exactly what you said. Will it will be someone within is going to be promoted, or maybe we just need to have different demands in different times or hours throughout the day, right? But during that process, I mean, it as detailed as going over once they're onboarding and they're doing these hours per day, just listening to the phone calls with these agents, pointing out what's needs more attention and what they're
And it's
doing
based
great.
on data too that you're
Right.
given. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's going to be based on data that we are given, but no, it's a good onboarding process, and it feels like we are involved completely on who we want to be on board with us. Yeah.
And we say this all the time as well. Like customer support is such an important tool for like feedback and, business improvement as a whole. Like people just see this as some cost center of people answering calls and everything. But if you have the right agents or the right partner, it can really just tremendously improve your business processes because you get to have all that feedback collected. So why is that buffer support so important, right? Because I've heard it mentioned from everyone's end right now. So I just want to know why that's so important for your industry.
Yeah, I mean, having that buffer support is definitely important. I mean, it comes to the fact where naturally you're going to have teammates that are not in a certain day, and you're going to have agents that aren't in that certain day as well, right? And we can't just plug and play any customer service support, right? They need to be kind of knowledgeable on how Total Recon operates, and with having those buffer supports and with them going through those trainings and really understanding what Total Recon is, in the event that we have teammates that are out, we have agents that are out, we're still able to keep like that customer service threshold where we want to be. So that's why I think yeah, those it's extremely important to have those trained buffers on hand for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to touch on that a little bit more would be the data that comes in. So LTV provides us monthly summaries of the performance and even the phone calls. So we use a air call, which is a voice over IP phone system that provides its own data as well. And we were seeing that at certain times of the day, we at the end of the day, and then sometimes on Saturdays as well, we were missing phone calls. And in the beginning of the day as well, because of the foot traffic that was coming in, like Alfonso mentioned, not being able to have an internal sitting behind that desk able to answer the phone, that's when LTV stepped in and provided a buffer agent to boost the amount of people that were able to do that task. And it diminished the amount of missed phone calls that we were getting. Lead conversion went up. It was a big help because we didn't necessarily understand how many phone calls were being missed. And when you see that number, you instantly feel as if you need to do something. And there was a solution right there, and a buffer agent was provided.
Hmm. And shout out to Aircall there because at the same time, regardless of how great the agents are, sometimes a bad tool can just ruin the entire process. So I think it's very important to have CRM tools that make all those procedures, I guess, a lot more seamless and easy. And the data reporting as well, helps agents make more informed decision and just the business as a whole. So now that we've talked about that, I guess we could get into real results, right? So Jonah, I'm gonna hand it over to you. How would you say customer success is measured when it comes to Total Recon customers specifically?
Yeah, but specifically for TR, it's actually pretty simplistic. We revolve around customer satisfaction, right? So there's quality care of LTVplus, the auditor that we have audits our agent on a weekly basis, and of course there's feedback. So the assigned team lead coaches the agents on a weekly basis on their opportunities. We have average handling time. We don't want the customers to stay on the phones that long, so we get the feedback from Alfonso on our weekly call listening session around that. So we've been taking advantage of outbound calls to offer that outbound call to the customer so that we don't keep the customers on the phone, and at the same time be ready when another call comes in. Another very important factor that we're looking into are the customers whom we have lost. So in the call listening session, we look at the past calls, see if there's some lessons that we could learn from, any things that the agents could have missed, and then get feedback from Alfonso as well so that we can apply the correct process in our current calls. So all those are taking into account in identifying what type of matrices is applicable to the type of service that we provide to customers. So those are just like a few KPIs that we measure our team against.
And I'm sure that churn recovery is like a big win, right? To really maintain or retain customers in the long term, because it's general knowledge that gaining a new customer is a lot more expensive than retaining an older one. So yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds great. And on the TRA side, Will and Alfonso, what would you guys say is are some direct impacts maybe or changes that you experienced after outsourcing?
Yeah, I just want to jump in here real quick on that. I mean, as I said before, as far as like the organization skills on LTV and the tools that they provide us is definitely helpful. One biggest thing is going to be the lead tracker, right? So each call that comes in, it gets documented. If we won this call, if we lost this call, or if this call needs to be touched again. So I think the fact that we talked about those details and we can monitor each incoming lead and really dissect if we lost it, if we won it for the month, if they still need to be contacted. So just the improvement in the organization on that, us knowing, hey, who's calling the shop? Why are they calling? Did they get booked in? And if we lost them, why do we lose them? Can we improve on that? So yeah, I think that's where we really see those impact is the data that Will likes to mention, right? It's data that's given to us and how we can improve on that and really monitor that every month.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a person is only involved in about 3 to 4 accidents in a lifetime. So when they are in a situation that they need a repair facility, it's very important to cultivate that lead immediately because they need someone. They need someone fast. So if you don't answer that phone call or that email or provide them with a short lead time to get them the service that they need, then they're going to go somewhere else. And it's not to say that we haven't seen it. We have seen it where a customer will be contacted and say, "Oh, my insurance told me to go to this shop, so the car is going over there. Thanks for calling me back." But if we're the first to talk to them and we provide that exceptional customer service and find out what their unique situation is and then provide them a solution to that situation, it kind of just works out the way it should. And that's really what we focused on as a team, as a partnership between the two companies. And that's the biggest impact I think I saw, was the lead cultivation and converting them into a customer and even a long-term customer because of that initial experience, that customer journey that they're receiving.
Hmm. Wow, this has been such a wholesome conversation. We've gone through decision making, smooth scaling, seamless onboarding, tracking, and even, I guess, some uncomfortable doubts that people might have. So just to wrap it up, Will, if you're talking to another GM or, owner of a specialized service business, whether it's auto, medical, legal, whatever, it doesn't matter, but what's one honest advice you give them about outsourcing CX, especially if they're very skeptical?
I think any manager, operator, owner understands that the customers are your most important aspect of a business. And if you do want better support in that aspect, outsourcing is a great option because the fear of putting that responsibility on someone that you may never even meet and just see them on the phone or a phone call, there is a little bit of fear there. But when it's kind of satisfied with the amount of time and attention and preparation that goes into making that person a live agent, you feel very confident. And even the phone calls that Alfonso goes through once a week, he hears it. He understands that his customers are being told the right things, they're being led in the right direction, and it's very, I guess, humbling in the sense that the fear is not really real. You just need to take that jump. It will pay out dividends.
That's awesome to hear. And finding the right BPO partner has a lot to do with it, I'm sure. Because there are some people that are skeptical because they've had bad experiences. So I think it's also about, really honing in and finding the right partner that meets all your needs. So I'm gonna throw it over to you, Jenna, before we wrap up. And also Alfonso, what do you guys wish more business owners understood about outsourcing?
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick before Jonah closes it out. I think it's the fact that you're more involved than initially that you would think, right? I think that's going to be the fear, like the thought in the back of any general manager's choice, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to outsource the staff. Where do we go from there, right? And I think the fact that myself, Will, is so involved on decisions, on the training, all that. I think it's huge. So I think that's going to be the only thing that would deter someone. But the fact that LTV does such a great job in the organization that I brought up, and from the details, everything, right? So I think that's going to be the biggest thing there.
And as for me, I think I would say that leveraging outsourcing is not to take away jobs. It is to take away your headache. You want to outsource it to a team who can handle it so efficiently and maybe handle it better so that you can focus on other important things for your business. For companies such as LTV Plus, they can be extremely beneficial, cost effective, I would say, for businesses. So to expand, of course, because again, we already have established processes that we can offer to different types of industries that any business can take advantage of. What's been working for LTV Plus is that we have the structured form and we constantly communicate with the clients, understand what their business needs are, and tailor fit it to what they want. Essentially, they are our customers, right? To Will's point earlier, they're very important to keep the business running, right? So that's how we look at our clients as well. They are our first customers. So whatever they say, we deliver. And we deliver it fast, efficiently, and we're open to feedback so that we are continuously improving.
Such an awesome conversation. I'm sure our viewers, listeners, everyone who's tuned into this is going to learn a thing or two, something new that they didn't know about outsourcing. And that's just amazing. So, again, guys, I want to say thank you so much for agreeing to join this podcast episode. It was such a great one. So, make sure if you have a Tesla, visit a Total Recon Auto Service Center near you. They're the best in the game. And subscribe for more CX gems like this. so that you can keep your customer experiencing flourishing day in and day out.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, we really appreciate this. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Thank you,
it,
Vanessa,
it, it
and you, Joe.
brings that relationship even stronger. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining in.
Thank
Ram,
you, Vanessa.
thank you so much.
Thanks, Alfonso Will.